Start with Why by Simon Sinek. Simon Sinek's Start with Why is a book that reshaped how leaders, companies, and individuals think about motivation, purpose, and influence. It argues that truly inspirational leaders, from Martin Luther King Jr. to Apple, begin not with what they do or how they do it, but why they do it. This why is a purpose, cause, or belief that inspires action. Part 1. A world that doesn't start with why. Chapter 1. Assume you know. Sinek opens by describing the dangers of assumptions. Many companies believe they understand what customers want, but they rarely examine why customers make decisions. This creates a world filled with companies chasing trends rather than understanding deeper motivations. He introduces the story of the 1903 race to build the first airplane. Samuel Langley, heavily funded and publicly supported, failed. Meanwhile, the Wright brothers, humble, underfunded, but fueled by a deep belief in human flight, succeeded. Their why created passion, grit, and innovation. Sinek argues that success doesn't come from money or fame. It comes from clarity of purpose. Companies fail when they lose sight of their why, chasing short-term gains instead of long-term vision. This chapter sets the tone. Assumptions blind us. Purpose reveals opportunity. Chapter 2. Carrots and Sticks. This chapter explains how most companies rely on external motivators, promotions, discounts, fear, pressure, to drive behavior. Sinek calls these carrots and sticks, tactics that produce short-term results but never loyalty. He contrasts manipulative tactics with true inspiration. Manipulation can close a sale, but it cannot build trust or lasting relationships. Companies like Walmart or price-driven airlines rely on manipulation, trapping themselves in a race to the bottom. Then Sinek poses the central argument of the book. Only inspiration, rooted in why, creates lasting influence. Customers don't simply buy products, they buy the meaning behind them. Employees don't commit to salaries, they commit to missions. Manipulation produces transactions. Inspiration produces movements. Part 2. An alternative perspective. The Golden Circle ***. Chapter 3. The Golden Circle. This chapter introduces Sinek's most famous concept, the Golden Circle, a simple diagram with 3 concentric layers. 1. Why? Your purpose or belief. 2. How? Your unique process or principles. 3. What? The products or services you offer. Most organizations communicate from the outside in, starting with what, then how, and rarely explaining why. But the great leaders communicate from the inside out. Apple is Sinek's classic example. Why? We believe in challenging the status quo. How? Innovative design and ease of use. What? Computers, phones, products. Consumers resonate with Apple's why, not its products alone. The Golden Circle mirrors human decision-making. People are inspired by purpose, not features. This model explains why some organizations earn trust while others merely sell products. Chapter 4. This is not opinion. This is biology. Sinek roots the Golden Circle in human biology. The what level corresponds to the neocortex, the rational part of the brain responsible for logic and language. The why and how levels correspond to the limbic brain, which controls emotions and decision-making. This biological insight explains a universal truth. People make decisions emotionally and justify them rationally. This is why saying, "we have the best quality," doesn't inspire. It speaks to the rational brain only. But saying, "we believe in thinking differently," reaches the limbic brain and taps into emotional loyalty. Humans crave meaning. Our brains are wired for it. Understanding this makes the Golden Circle not just a communication tool, but a psychological truth. Chapter 5. Clarity, Discipline, and Consistency. To lead with why, Sinek says, requires 3 qualities. 1. Clarity of why. Know your purpose deeply. 2. Discipline of how. Live the values that bring your why to life. 3. Consistency of what. Ensure that your actions reflect your why. If any element breaks, trust collapses. For example, a company that claims to prioritize innovation, why, but punishes risk-taking, how and what, loses credibility. Sinek stresses that a why must be authentic, not a marketing slogan. It must be lived daily, modeled by leadership, and reinforced through actions. Successful organizations are not perfect, but they are consistent. Part 3. leaders need a following. Chapter 6. The emergence of trust. Trust is the currency of the why. Sinek argues that trust emerges when values and actions align. Leaders who communicate their why consistently attract followers who believe in their mission. He uses the example of the New Jersey statewide police training reforms. How one leader transformed the culture by focusing on shared purpose, not rules and punishments. Through inspiring leadership, performance and behavior shifted organically. Trust is built slowly through repeated alignment. It is destroyed quickly by inconsistency. Leaders who start with why inspire people to follow them not because they must, but because they want to. Chapter 7. How a tipping point tips. This chapter explains how ideas spread, referencing Malcolm Gladwell's law of diffusion of innovation. Sinek breaks down the population. 2.5% innovators. 13.5% early adopters. 34% early majority. 34% late majority. 16% laggards. Innovators and early adopters are driven by belief and emotion. They embrace risk. The majority, however, needs reassurance. They wait for proof. When a company communicates why, it resonates with innovators and early adopters first. These early believers fuel momentum, pulling the majority along. Apple's launch of the iPod and iPhone exemplifies this pattern. They didn't sell features, they sold a belief. Early adopters didn't buy the what, they bought the why. Movements grow when belief spreads, not when products compete. Part 4. How to rally those who believe. Chapter 8. Start with why, but know how. Though why is essential, Sinek explains that how people bring the why to life is equally crucial. The founder often holds the why, but how types, practical, process-driven partners, turn vision into reality. He uses the partnership between Walt Disney, why, and his brother Roy Disney, how, as an example. Walt dreamed, Roy executed. Successful companies balance dreamers and builders. Without how, why remains an idea. Without why, how becomes mechanical. A company needs both. Chapter 9. Know why. Know how. Then what? This chapter explains that what is the tangible proof of an organization's why. Everything the company makes, every service it provides, must reflect and reinforce the purpose. When companies lose sight of their why, their products become inconsistent. Sinek cites Volkswagen's emissions scandal as an example, an organization drifting away from its supposed values. Meanwhile, brands like Southwest Airlines maintain consistency through decades of leadership transitions, preserving their why across time. Every product, policy, and action is a megaphone for a company's purpose. When what matches why, authenticity emerges. Chapter 10. Communication is not about speaking, it's about listening. True communication begins with listening, not speaking. A leader must listen to the values, needs, and beliefs of their team and customers. Sinek highlights how leaders like Howard Schultz of Starbucks understood the emotional and social needs of customers, creating environments where people felt belonging, not just caffeine. Listening reveals the why behind people's actions. Leaders must hear more than words. They must hear meaning. Effective leadership requires empathy, curiosity, and emotional intelligence. Part 5. The biggest challenge is success. Chapter 11. When why goes fuzzy. Success is the moment most organizations lose their why. Growth, pressure, and competition often blur purpose. Sinek uses Walmart as an example. Its founder, Sam Walton, built the chain with a clear purpose to help average Americans buy more with less. But after Walton's death, the company focused almost exclusively on cost-cutting and expansion. The why faded. Public trust plummeted. The same pattern is seen with many companies after rapid success or leadership change. Why must be protected deliberately. If it becomes fuzzy, the organization drifts into mediocrity. Chapter 12. Split happens. Organizations often split into two groups as they grow. Those who carry the why, leaders, and those who execute the what, managers. When these groups lose connection, cultural fractures emerge. Sinek revisits the story of Apple's near collapse in the 1990s. Without Steve Jobs, Apple focused on what? Computers and devices. Without the why of innovation and simplicity. Productivity tanked. Morale evaporated. Jobs' return restored the why and recalibrated the company. The lesson: Leadership must unify why, how, and what. Part 6. Discover why. Chapter 13. The origins of why. Sinek explains that every leader's why comes from their personal stories, experiences, and values. It is not invented, it is uncovered. He describes how great leaders understand their past, their motivations, and the emotional events that shaped them. This forms a guiding compass. The why is always personal before it is organizational. A company's why is a reflection of its founder's beliefs. A powerful why is rooted in deep personal conviction. Chapter 14. The new competition. In the final chapter, Sinek argues that the real competition is not between companies selling similar products. The real competition is between companies with a why and those without one. Organizations with a strong why, like Patagonia, Tesla, Apple, don't compete on features. They compete on purpose. Their customers become advocates, not just buyers. Sinek ends by challenging the reader to find their own why and build a life, career, or business worth following. Success is not measured by numbers, but by impact and legacy. The goal is not to outdo others. The goal is to outdo yourself by living and leading with purpose. Final thoughts. Start with Why is more than a book. It's a philosophy of leadership and living. Its lessons are clear. Inspired leaders communicate from the inside out. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Trust is built through clarity, consistency, and authenticity. A powerful why can fuel movements, not just companies. Success must never obscure purpose.